Hello and welcome to Eastern Marshlands, an evening with comrades. Tonight we have Goulash Guy,
Hello.
Eugene,
Hello, everyone.
Positus Pac-Man,
Save the dolphins.
we have Spoogs,
Anti-spook action.
and tonight for the first time we have Galatix,
Salut, hello everyone.
and I am your host, TK Jones. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button to keep up to date with everything Eastern Marshlands. So, lads, how are we after the glorious result of the Queensland election?
Whenever there's an election in the House, like whenever there's, be it American or even the French one was still pretty exciting. But like, especially when it's, I think regional ones are more exciting than general ones, to be honest. I think it's because you're focused on a very specific area with very more specific values. Like, for example, Queensland is a bit of a wild card because the further north you go, the more like weird and racist things get. So, so watching the election, I remember tuning in, God, the jargon that I'm using. Anyway, it was like 40 seats Labor to 20 something seats Liberal, and there was just this sort of overwhelming feeling of like, like One Nation. They were really confident. Pauline Hanson was so dead set ready that they were going to take victory from the two-party majority, and a new era is rising in Australia, and then that just didn't happen. So that was fun.
So
yeah.
What are the results of this election? Because I'm googling and I can't find it.
I'm looking at it right now. He called seats for the ALP, so the Labor's gonna more than likely retain. So that's good news, at least. Well, relatively speaking, the Liberal National Party is 36 seats. There are 3 other seats, and there are 10 undecided seats. Well, as I was saying before we hopped on this live stream, I still think that the cult of personality over cowboy hats is alive and well in Queensland. No, fucking seriously.
They are
Very
they're a very country-oriented area, so you have to remember when a candidate like Bob Catter, who is just an absolute character, he's an absolute caricature straight out of like Looney Tunes. When he comes in and he does the big guy pose from Dark Knight Rises, you have to you have to expect like I don't know, maybe there is something appealing to him.
Well, no, you see, this is the thing. It's not just him. I just saw the picture, the official promo picture for the One Nation guy who's actually won a seat, and his hat is glorious. Like, this hat is just ridiculous.
Can you link us to it?
Yeah. I'll bring it up. I'm getting this from The Australian, so hold on to your hold on to your.
I wonder if this is a biased source when talking about policy, but I don't know.
Nah, news sources are never biased, Goulash. Dum.
I'm so silly.
No,
Silly boy.
Okay.
But,
the Australian is asking me to subscribe to their paper. I'm like,
don't do that.
Fucking hell.
Don't give yourself cancer, Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
Don't give them the time of day.
Yeah.
I can't find the hat. I can't find the photo with the hat, unfortunately. But I'll see if I can. Stephen Andrew. No, wait. Maybe I can do it this way. But I'm kind of looking at this because he's also a pig shooter from Queensland. So he definitely has the shooter party vote. So Second Amendment rights for Australians, even though we don't have an amendment. I love how the first thing. Lol, no shit. The first thing I did, I searched Stephen Andrew. Oh, there it is. I searched Stephen Andrew, and the first result I get is fucking guys in Waffen SS uniforms. This isn't ominous
What the
at all,
fuck?
guys. No, try it. Go into Google Images, type in Stephen Andrew, and then see what comes up.
Is that with a PH or?
He has PH, yeah, Stephen Andrew.
Oh my god, he does have quite a hat.
I know, right? That's what I'm saying. Like,
Oh yeah, that is a bit. Wow.
I know.
Oh no, Stephen Andrew. As in, it's illustrated by a person called Stephen Andrew, and
Yeah,
apparently
but
he drew
I
things.
think this is a tiny bit of foreshadowing. I'm not gonna lie. This seems like a...
You're gonna put two and two together, and the puzzle pieces just align magically.
Oh my God, you are literally Hitler. Okay, sorry. No, but in all seriousness, yes, I just chucked the link in the Hangout if you guys want to see this fucking hat, because oh
That
my
is-
God.
That is a mighty
Yeah,
fine
that's
hat.
yeah. I saw that. It's very wide. Very,
Oh God, why? I'll share it in chat.
Because Queensland. It's,
Why the hats? You're not Americans. Like,
No,
what the
because
fuck?
no,
A
as I
range
said,
boy works in Australia as well?
yeah, as I said, Queensland, very hot area. Well, Australia, very hot. You know, country, got to appeal to the country audience. Also, you know, got to keep the sun out of your eyes. And what better way to do it than with a cartoonishly Looney Tunes style hat?
Well, that's where Cat is trying to get his support from, isn't it? Just the farmers and the, dare I say, the workers of Australia, isn't it?
To be fair, though, we talked about this before, but he did say in an interview he was talking about how one of his best friends is Anthony Albanese of the Labor Party. So this really does prove that we
Really
need
makes you think.
Yeah, what we need
It's
is
the
national
government.
labour. We need to return to the days of Billy Hughes. We need national labour. We need
Well,
the Australian
Back to that.
Australian
Hang on.
National Worker Party.
Well, hold on. Does that mean does that mean? Wait a minute. Is Bob Catter a Nazbol? Oh my God! Nazbol gang confirmed.
We've been infiltrated
It's
by the
not damn
Nazbol gang.
sock, I'm sorry.
Look, there is a
Put this
picture.
man in PM
There's a
now.
picture, there's a picture of Anthony Albanese. He's wearing a hat as well.
It's a
Oh,
conspiracy, I told you. They're all wearing hats. How they communicate.
This is the Secret Hat Society. It reminds me of the fucking Imperial Russia. Like, what the fuck?
No, seriously, if I
Soon
I could go
the
into
Queen
my-
has to step in and purge the shit out of secret societies in the government of Australia. Like, what the fuck?
No, the Governor General walks in wearing his own fucking sort of pirate hat, and he says, "Any cunt wearing a hat, I swear to God," whips out the ceremonial sword. You can see Peter Cosgrove just doing that. You know, he just pulls out a sword from his office. And he's right.
Anyone who doesn't understand Australian politics is never going to be 100% with any of these streams. To be honest,
Yeah, I know.
we've got a real
Yeah.
straight up beginning. We've got people from Belarus. We've got Gladys, who is from the mighty France. And I can't wait to hear some of the things that he has to say and contribute. But I think right off the bat, we get the Australian politics out of the way. I think it's just best for everyone. It's like a joke. You got to tell the in-jokes at the beginning of the stream. And there
Yeah,
is
but
no
the thing
better
is-
joke than Australian politics.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. Australian politics is literally one giant fucking meme. It's just this. It's a monolith of. You've seen 2001. It might as be just that thing from 2001 with the Southern Cross on it and just a Pepe like smack right in the fucking middle. Just it is a giant fucking meme, and everybody just sort like if there was no compulsory voting in Australia, I reckon we'd only get like a 30% turnout.
Oh,
Honestly, no one would show up.
Yeah.
Like literally, like not even in Belarus. You think Belarus has a low voter turnout? No, Aussies would just not
There's
go.
so many people that just want to avoid the fine from voting and just put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 down the side, or they draw a big dick on it and then put it in. But
Yeah.
I mean, if we
Religions.
on like the flip side of it, if we don't have compulsory voting, we'll have people who say, "Oh, I don't care about the election. I don't care who's in. I just want to be able to pay my taxes and drink my beer." And then 5 months later, they're like, "There's a fucking massive tax on beer. Oh no!"
No, but
If
seriously,
only someone had listened to the policies of the parties.
yeah, well, that's never going to happen. Besides, it says a lot about the country, though, and I think it's a good sign that, like, you know, you hold polls and like that. If voting was compulsory, like who would go, and you see like a really low turnout, and then you see something like the gay marriage, you know, plebiscite, and then suddenly, over like what 70% of the electorate turns out to vote, and it just sort of it goes to show that on serious policy issues, Australians actually do give a shit when they think there is an injustice being done. But like, I think it's the same with America.
Just like many people, really.
They just...
It's really about the system, to be honest. It's like the whole. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, isn't it crazy that the whole process is created in a way that nobody is engaged because nobody knows what the fuck is happening?
Well, I think a lot of Australians do, but they've had the same sort of reaction that they had to Hillary Clinton in the DNC. Like, the reason the Democratic Party, the Democrats had one of the hugest turnouts for Bernie, but when Bernie got shafted, and let's face it, that was rigged from the start. That was easily rigged from the start. When Bernie got shafted, 1/3 of the Bernie voters actually voted for Trump, and the other 2/3. The other 2/3 just didn't show up.
Yeah.
And like maybe 1/10 of them voted for Hillary out of solidarity, but they felt dirty doing it. And I would have too, to be honest. But,
wrong with our country.
but it's the same sort of situation. It's just that Americans think they're cynical about their government. Australians, universally, whether it's right or left, Australians just hate their government. And the one major complaint that it always seems to be is that the government is incompetent.
Because they are.
Yeah, but not just that. Yeah. It's like the single greatest complaint. Like, I speak to liberals. I speak to conservative-style liberals, as in our liberals. I speak to leftists. I speak to Labour members. I speak to Dems. So I speak to pretty much everybody who'll listen. In my day job, I work in a call centre, like I said. And so I speak to every demographic under the sun. And they are all universal in their contempt for the government. In fact, the contempt for the government is the only thing the right and the left seem to agree on in Australia.
Sometimes the contempt runs so deep for certain people, certain parties that are in government, that occasionally I will overhear people say, like, just last week, I heard someone say, Jesus, I hate the way the government's running the country right now. Fucking Labour lot, we should vote them out. And I'm like...
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hang on a second.
What? So obviously this guy was like a staunch liberal voter and loves the Liberal Party so much that whenever the government's doing badly, he thinks Labour is in.
That's just cognitive dissonance, like, working really hard.
Did you tell this person? That it's actually
Mate,
not...
This was super bogan, mate, and he had a bottle of Jackson.
Oh, okay, I get it. You don't touch the super bogans.
Yeah.
You don't touch super bogans.
Like, you know how I do the fake Australian accent, right? That's that guy's normal voice, I tell you.
Amazing.
He's fucking going for it. He's a mad cunt. He'll do whatever he wants.
We love bogans. Amazing people, really.
No, I remember the Chasers War and everything when they did a sketch about, how to convince people not to take a part of the mining boom, because we had that mining boom a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I remember their whole policy advert was, the reason why we need to stop the mining boom, cashed up bogans from WA. Stay fucking away. That's terrifying. It's going to cause a scourge which will end us all.
Perish the thought.
God, could you imagine bogans with... No, I remember actually Channel 7 covering a story, so buckle up, kids. Are you ready?
Channel 7. Oof.
Neoliberalism incoming. I must admit, I will come out honestly as a leftist and honestly say, watching the US election, after the hopelessness set in and after I realized what was happening, I just decided to throw everything out the window and just engage in the Schadenfreude. Just seeing what happened to the Hillary voters, because we had a massive convention of Australians who weren't even able to vote. They just wanted to watch it, and they were cheering on Hillary. Yay, go team! And I'm like, and just seeing their faces, I was like, what? Because
I remember watching the election. Because watching the American election, it's funny, and then when it ends, you're just like, oh, this is world politics for 4 years now. So,
yeah.
I remember I got about halfway through, fell asleep because, I don't know, I was just feeling sleepy. Maybe I'd stayed up too early the night before, but I was really tired, so I fell asleep about halfway through. And then I woke up a little bit later, maybe like 45 minutes, hour at tops. And I remember waking up, and the first thing I saw was like all these news channels. All of the reporters looked really just like devastated and shocked. And then it cut straight to the Hillary camp, and there were tears everywhere. I thought someone had fucking died.
There's
Oh my god,
Deliberate
what happened? Like,
tears.
how did this happen? What led to this? Why are you so distraught? Like,
the
what
funniest
did
thing
you think was going to happen?
The funniest thing was that Hillary was so freaking butthurt. She didn't even make
She
a
didn't
concession
even
speech.
show up. Yeah, she just
She
stayed in her
hid in
hotel
her
room.
room, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking, oh my god, no wonder you lost. You have absolutely no
Like,
credibility.
he was so out of touch.
No, funniest thing was,
it-
I was.
that face you make when you rig a primary and then still lose the election.
Just fuck. No, seriously, if you want to know what's really good about the irony in this, I was watching Hacksaw Ridge at the time the election was going on because it was just out in the cinemas. And like, it gets up to that scene where it's like, I can't hear anything, and then that first round just smacks into a Marine's head, and then just all this fire just comes out of nowhere, and just all these people are getting killed. There's explosions everywhere. And after it sort of dies down in that quiet period where, Spider-Man, whatever his fucking name is, Garfield, I think it is, runs out into the middle, starts grabbing guys like, I'm going to save you. I'm going to save you for the Lord. I look down at my phone and check, and it's like Trump's won Pennsylvania. I'm like, wait, hold on. Pause the movie. Hold the fuck up. What? What? Pennsylvania? Really? I sort of lean over to my mate, and I'm like, yo, check this shit. And I show it to him. It's like, and then there's this sort of look. We just sort of look at each other, and then we look at the screen, just in time to see another battle start up. And I'm like, DNC subtext on the screen. We're gonna purge. They're all literally the entire staffers and pollsters of the DNC. If it had been Stalin's Russia, they would have gone to the fucking wall. Like, honestly.
I just remember seeing. They just showed this footage of the DNC, all of these like young sort of, I don't want to say hipsters, but you can sort of see like they're obviously very like California-esque, and just watching the tears run down their face, watching them hold one another. It was like someone had showed them footage of like the camps at like Dresden and like fucking Belsen, all of these like horrific, well, not Dresden, but like all of these like horrific places. It was like watching people look at like torture. It was like watching someone respond to like human rights abuse. Just watching the tears fall down their face, trying to like grasp the situation at hand. Like, it just didn't seem real. It was really fucking weird. Like, this didn't happen in. I don't know. Comparing that to like the French election. The French election for me was something very.
That was
different.
entertaining.
I think a lot of us here were.
America already elected Reagan, so Trump is just a sequel.
Actually, I would like to hear a French leftist view on the French election. If you want to go ahead, Gladfox, because this.
Please, yeah.
Well, the French election started with lots of trouble on the right and the left. Firstly, let's start with the right, since they had their primary first. François Fillon won that against all odds. He wasn't the favorite candidate, but he was the favorite of all Christian grandmas, so he won with them. Then, after he becomes the candidate for the right-wing party, money scandals come out about him. But he won't quit. So that's the start of the French election. Then comes the left, the Socialist Party. Mélenchon refused to run for the primary, believing it was rigged. The Manuel Valls, former Prime Minister under François Hollande, and think he's the favorite candidate if they manage to rig the election, but they don't. and Benoît Hamon, slightly more social democrat than him. Since Manuel Valls is hardcore anti-immigration, he's basically a right winger trying to be the socialist candidate. But Hamon wins and is the favorite candidate for the left. But Mélenchon won't do a coalition with him, believing him to be not enough a social democrat. And as the time passes, Mélenchon starts his YouTube channel, becomes the number one French politician with the most subscribers, and gains in popularity until basically Mélenchon polls at 20% and Benoît Hamon at less than 10%. And then the election comes up. The polls were in favor of Macron. Every poll ever was in favor of Macron. Basically, the media wanted him to win. And so he got the second turn against Marine Le Pen. That was one of the 4 cases expected. Basically, but if that reassure people, in every situation, Marine Le Pen lost to the other candidate. The polls had no situation in which she was winning.
Didn't
So
didn't Mélenchon want to bring about the Sixth Republic or something?
yes, it was on his
Oh, God,
program.
yes.
He wanted basically to have more control. The people had more control over the candidate and works and have a referendum that can be initiated by the people. He was also he was against the privatization of France Electric Dam against EU regulation.
The EU
He had
wanted to privatize a dam.
Yeah, and Mélenchon had a whole YouTube video explaining why it would be a problem. Because if you have a surplus of electricity in your country, you have to shut down some centrals. And dams are the easiest to shut down and restart. But if dams are privatized, you need to compensate them if they shut down.
Oh, terrible.
So it would make everything worse.
Dude, I'm just looking up this. Like, I'm fairly ignorant on French politics, and I'm just looking up all the major players that you've mentioned, and I'm just sort of looking at Macron's party, and like, Jesus Christ, the radical centrism is real. Like, fucking seriously. I was going with this. I was like, this guy's like, he's like a liberal. He doesn't sound too bad, just not exactly great. And I get down to his foreign policy, and it's just like, foreign policy. Anti-Zionism is the new anti-Semitism. We must support Israel and all that. And I'm like, oh.
I mean,
Okay.
neoliberal. If for a quick history of France, neoliberal have been trying to get into French politics since the 50s.
Now
No,
they have.
since the 70s. They first succeed in 2008, and that's just the end result. But Macron popularity is degrading. Liberalism has never been popular in France since World War II.
There's a few like candidates that seem a lot more competent than Australian candidates because they've actually managed to be candidates.
I mean,
Sorry, go ahead.
we also have one Trotskyist party and one formerly Trotskyist party that run for the election. Because French election have that particularity that the French law forces the media to gave equal amount of screen time to every candidate.
Mm.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be that guy, but I find it rather unnerving looking at the results of the French election, seeing that the French, as far as I'm aware, France has had a very left-wing government. Even
No,
like as far as compared to other European
I mean
countries.
yes, if you compare it to the rest of Europe, yes, but for the history of France, it has been moving right wing.
Yeah, but like this is what I'm saying. Like before, it's the Republicans like Charles de Gaulle and all that. I mean, they've been centre right for a while. Mainly, it's just French nationalism.
Charles the Republican under Charles de Gaulle. Charles de Gaulle, right wingers have disappeared in the 70s.
Even so,
Yes.
I still, as an English sort of, as I come from an Anglo background, don't hurt me, Goulash, don't hurt me.
Anti-Anglo gang, assemble! Do, 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 do.
No, seriously, my Angloism comes out with a little bit of a shiver when I see that the second largest party in France is the fucking National Front. What? Like,
second largest party, it's a bit an overstating. The National Front has a lot of active members, but his membership didn't really grow.
Robespierre, comrade, we have failed you.
They just have a permanently active voting base. I mean, they tend to, when election comes, they tend to fail in most regions. Basically, they have a few right-wing stronghold in the local election, but I think they've got 1% of the seats, or around that in the local election. I mean, this election was a big fuck up. So they lost momentum, but basically,
how's
yeah.
what's his name? Macron? Macron?
Macron, yeah.
Yes.
That guy.
That
How has he? Because you live in France. How has his leadership of France been going? Is it has it gone down the toilet, or is it just sort of coasting along?
It's coasting along. He has been surrounded by yes men, and basically his entire party is just yes men. His party was created just for the election, and they won. So
Jesus, I didn't even think that was possible. Just up and create a party, and then all of a sudden become president of an entire country. Jesus Christ!
I mean, he was a finance minister, and basically you could literally say they bought the media, since all the media talk about was him. Funny thing is, before Mélenchon started look like he could win the first round, they were all doing Macron praising and Le Pen bashing. But as soon as it looked like Mélenchon could win, they started calling him a Bolshevik, the Red Army would march into Paris, and all that shit. Yes, because in France, if you want to dismiss a candidate, you don't call him a communist, you call him a Bolshevik.
That's like a badge of honor, though.
I mean...
Well, you haven't done enough if you haven't been called a red.
Oh, yes. Oh, TK, you're bringing back some old memories at the barbecue.
Oh, mate.
So
honestly, like every time
story time, Goulash.
Every time there's like a barbecue, I swear to God, someone puts on like "Solidarity Forever" and we start singing Union songs. I don't know why, but it just somehow happens.
Goulash, invite me next time for fuck's sake. I live down the road, not to dox us.
Pac-Man, have you told Goulash of the plan you've got?
Oh yeah, Goulash.
The plan. Oh, at ASIO.
Yeah. Hey guys, I know you're listening. I'll just look out my window because, like, I own an iPhone, so it's recording everything I say usually. So I'm not surprised. It's just a white van, just
Oh
constantly
shit! There's a
parked.
black van out front of my house.
Fuck!
I kid you
TK, run!
not.
I have no vans to see because I live on a 4th floor, and all I see is literally fucking fog. That's it. It's extremely foggy. It's 100-meter visibility in Minsk today.
I'm just
Even
like
less than that, I think. I
I
have
was.
Silent Hill outside. I
I'm
think
like
the demons are
leaning.
out here
I'm leaning
to
across
get me.
like. Oh shit! Oh, sorry. I was leaning out
Jesus
the.
Christ!
I was leaning out the window, and I
Did
knocked
they
over.
open fire?
I knocked all my tinnies over.
Oh no! Oh, why do you leave the tins in your room? Take them out. Put them in the bin.
I've drunk them all.
Yeah, then you put them in the bin.
I'll have to
Don't
do
leave
it.
them on
Put
the
the
floor.
teenies in the bin. Put
Adam.
the teenies in the bin.
Yeah, France is the most left-wing first world countries, but it has been slowly moving right-wing since the memory of the Second World War fading away.
Wish we could turn back time.
Back time, back
I mean,
time.
the Soviet Union also fucked us over. Basically, you can match the decreasing of the popularity of the Communist Party with the release of the Gulag Archipelago. Yeah.
I was just saying to TK the other night, Goulash. I was thinking, seeing as I have purchased a new vehicle, if you've got all the time in the world, I've got some annual leave coming up. Maybe we can head east,
Ooh.
and get a party going.
How far east? Are we talking Melbourne? Because I'm not up for a drive.
Well, I'll be driving, so you know.
You can head to wherever it is I live, and we could go out for drinks at a pub.
I happen to know where TK lives.
Australia.
Wherever that might be. I don't know where that is.
I don't know where it is either.
I actually do have asthma. I shouldn't do that.
It's
Australian
north.
Gang Unite.
I honestly want to get all together, like all the Australian leftists that we know, Spooks, who is AFK at the moment, like all of the gang backcode, all of that, and we'll just meet on like common ground at fucking Uluru.
Yes, I'm down for that. Or at least in one of the big cities. I reckon that gathering.
Because the thing is, we could meet at Uluru if there are people in Northern Territory or in like Perth or whatever, and we'll just go straight to the middle. But mostly it's always in the south and in the east and the southeast, so we'll probably just sort of find a little equilibrium point in the middle and go there.
Probably
Equilibrium.
Canberra.
Look,
That's
I'll
not
be
the right.
honest.
Equilibrium isn't the right way. Let me find a right word to use.
All I'm gonna say is,
Where did that come from?
I knowing where TK is, and knowing where you are, and knowing where I am, and knowing where Backcoat is, I'll be honest. The place we need to go is the capital, the great jewel of the southeast. If you get what I mean.
Sydney?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Oh, just go straight to Canberra. Just straight to the hellhole that is.
Oh, actually, you know what? A
Yeah.
pilgrimage to Canberra, and we'll all do.
A
No, we can all go on.
pilgrimage!
We'll do a pilgrimage to Canberra and like set up a tent on the lawn outside and just be like,
We'll bring our reupholstered armchairs, sit in them, and face Parliament House and say,
You do
"Self-crit
go
or die, Bill."
There is, because you always do go to the usually you go to the fucking primary school or high school trip to Canberra and you learn about the Parliament. And I remember there was this place that we go to where you sort of look at the sort of architectural outlook at the outlay of Canberra, and it's literally just a big circle, and they just built around it.
Worst
It's a
school
big.
trip.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Spooks. We learned so much.
It's the one big roundabout.
The one big round of it, yeah. All right, we'll put the Parliament in the center of the city, and then we'll just build around it.
No, clearly you need to build the parliament on the left of the city, not the center.
I get you. I get it. I think.
I love what you said. Like, you go to Canberra to learn about the parliament in school, and in university, you learn to hate it.
Yeah,
Basically,
pretty much.
I think that's the basic notion of any country.
So when I was younger, in
Learn
high
about it,
school,
and then
we
you want
didn't get the trip to go to Canberra, but we were sat down in front of the computers and we were told how the electorates work and whatnot, and how a bill is passed, and then we got to read a few books and then run like a mock election. And the whole time I was like, this was before I was really like woke to like socialism and whatnot, but I was getting taught all this stuff, and I was like, this is shit. This is really inefficient. This will never work. It just means that a bunch of people holds all this political power and no one can change it. What the fuck? So in the mock election, I ran on like a crypto anarchist ticket, but not anarchist in the sense of like anarcho-socialist, but more like, you elect me, and then that's it. Australia is over. We're just going to shut it down, and it's going to be Mad Max from here on out.
I like that even before you probably had a grasping and understanding of these concepts, you went straight for the accelerationist candidate.
Oh no, I'm a big accelerationist from the day I was introduced to the whole system. Mainly because I just sort of looked at it and went, hold on. You mean to tell me that people with money hold all the power? Well, that's fine. That's great and all. But what does their money actually do? And then sort of the bell went through my head. It's like, I went to a Catholic school when I was a kid, so feel pity for me. But
it's okay, Pac-Man. It's all right.
But they taught me. They taught me, all of Jesus's principles, right? And then when I hear America and Australia itself being called the lucky country, I'm like, you hear all these policies that the Liberals give, and I'm sort of thinking, hold on a minute. Didn't the guy in the big book say this is exactly what is not to do? Back up a second. And I'm just sort of thinking, hold on. This man, this Prince of Peace, the guy who we go to church on Sunday to see, he lost his shit and went full fucking Stalinoid on
You'll
people.
mind if I expel the merchants?
Exactly. He went he collectivized that temple. He went in there and collectivized the living shit out of it.
I mean,
And I'm
Catholic socialist gang.
yeah,
Catholic socialist game.
I mean, I'm an anti-theist, but my hatred is towards the Catholic Church. But being brought up in a Catholic school, I did all the things, and I suppose Jesus might have been my introduction to socialism in a way, because I just sort of everything that he said did, I just sort of turn around and go like, "This is a Christian nation with Christian values." Bullshit. Catholic values mainly, but it's sort of like. Eventually, I know I was going somewhere with this, but it boiled down to something where I learned as a child that I was speaking socialist theory without knowing I was actually doing it when I was a kid. I sort of said to myself, hang on, so the people with all the money have all the power, yet we elect them. But when we elect them, nothing changes, and then this sort of light bulb went off on my head. What we need to do is the people need to get together and change it. The politicians aren't going to listen to us, so we should change it ourselves.
Oh, fuck.
And then I sort of went...
I had a similar thought.
You can go to prison for those words, boy.
I had a similar thought in kindergarten, right? Where I thought, oh, yeah, to be like a rebel is to be against like all authority, which means I need to form a guerrilla force in the kindergarten playground and fight against the kindergarten teachers. And so I convinced a bunch of like, I was a tiny little child myself, and I convinced the rest of the kids there to render unto me their loyalty, and I would lead them in a glorious revolution to free ourselves from the authority of Mrs. Alice and Mrs. Such and Such that won't let us have 2 juice boxes, and they only give one to each kindergartner. So we were.
I can
I
support that.
I had a boot
Mother
camp
full
at the
net
back
ball.
behind some bushes, and we were making like stick weapons and whatnot.
Are you serious?
It was
You had
so-
the fucking insurrection force when you were a child.
Yeah, I was about to start the insurrection in a kindergarten, and then march on
Insurrection
Canberra.
begins.
Yeah. Oh,
This is amazing.
No, but seriously, it
Oh my god.
I lost my shit regarding I lost my shit regarding that because when I learned about how power works, you know, I sort of wondered to myself, like the first thing I thought when I was a kid, I sort of turned around to my dad and I said, "Hold on, let me get this straight. Us kids are doing, you know, education. We're doing school for 8 hours a day, and the only income I get is $20 from you every 2 weeks, right?" I don't think that's fair, considering the amount of labor I'm doing. I'm doing homework. I'm doing all
You are
this.
scum. $20 every 2
Um,
weeks. You know how much I got per week? I got $2 per week. Bucko.
I got
You are
jack shit.
scum. Get out of here.
Yeah, and you
No,
know,
I
that's
didn't
what
get a
I'm saying.
thing, but dude.
Yeah, but I was sort of thinking to myself even then. I'm like, hold on, you have the car, you have the house, you have all the fuel and stuff, and so I was sort of thinking to myself, we should get paid to go to school because the country doesn't
Yeah.
run without
When you
us.
said you were learning about power, does that mean that you read Foucault?
Probably. Actually, no. The first book I read as a kid in full, and you guys are gonna think I'm crazy, but besides Harry Potter and all that shit, which we all did, the first proper meaty
I didn't.
book, well, kids' books, I'm saying, the first meaty real life book I ever read was The Bellon de Gallico by Julius Caesar. It was the first thing I ever read, and the quote from
Oh,
in
God.
that stuck with me my entire life, which is the to get the Latin quote like vice imperia, something like that, and it basically says, you know, the conqueror may impose whatever will he wishes upon the conquered, and it's sort of, and then sort of that leads into Chairman Mao's teaching, where, you know, all force is power. Power is all force. The state
Yeah.
succeeds by having the monopoly on violence, and so I had this concept at, you know, age 7. And it's sort of
That's a strange reading. This like, all right, kids.
That's very esoteric.
First, we're gonna read Spot the Dog. Then we're gonna read The Hungry Caterpillar. Then we're gonna read a collection of
Commentaries on the Gallic War by Julius Caesar.
and then we'll finish up with the Little Red Cookbook.
the Little Red Cookbook, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a sec, boys. I'm gonna go get something to drink. I'll get some like fucking milk or whatever.
My
No.
introduction.
Oh, hell yeah.
I think I'll make myself a cup of coffee. You know?
Hey TK, I think we should start making one of these. We should do it as a 2 nightly thing. We should do one on Tuesday as the update, and I think we should do one on the weekend. Just mainly for the alcoholic content, so we can say what we really feel.
Yeah.
I'll actually have an excuse not to leave the computer so I can pile up the tinnies again.
Exactly.
Uh,
We'll discuss socialist policy.
You were more libertarians than me learning about leftist theory. I was started way more authoritarian when I learned about leftism.
Well,
I mean-
I'm still libertarian in my views mainly because I think freedom is, you know.
My introduction to communism was basically talking about Stalin in history class. And basically
Hey,
went
that's pretty good.
Stalinism is when the government controls everything, and young me thought that sounds like a good idea. It's more efficient. It's more efficient than letting the business control everything.
Yeah, it's like decided on one and the other.
Oh my god. And you've gone all robotical with your audio again.
I'm robotical?
Yeah,
Yes.
Robotnik.
Robotnik.
Yeah.
Dr. Robotnik.
Basically,
Hello?
basically,
Yo,
no.
no. Oh.
Basically, I thought I would be the one in control of the government back then.
At every ML.
I
Yeah,
mean, that side of me, I'm not okay with ML unless I am in control of everything. Because I don't
Yo,
trust
can you hear me
ML.
now?
Yep, there we go.
Yes,
yeah, you're back.
yes.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I think I have a shot at being in the Vanguard Party. You know, I read like 3 books by Marx. I think I'm qualified.
3?
Being-
You gotta, that's a
being-
lofty claim there, friendo.
That's Spooks, you are going out wrong. You don't want to be in the Vanguard Party. You want to be the Vanguard Party.
Yeah, you are the party.
I am the
One-man
party.
party.
No, it's one of my favorite memes that I made with my leftist mascot Katyusha. And it says, we only gulag enemies of the state. Fortunately for me, I am the state. So,
Date.
But contrary to most MLs on social issues, the wise way more woke than them. But I'm less authoritarian now, but I still want to be in control of everything.
Well, that's why you've got
Understandable.
paradox games and shit. That's why you've got. That's why you've got EU4 and.
Are you telling me playing Hearts of Iron 4 as the Soviet Union counts as LARPing?
it
Yes.
absolutely is. I love every fucking
To be
thing.
honest,
I mean, I play even more LARPing. I play Crisis in the Kremlin.
Oh yeah, I do
Oh,
that
fuck.
too. I have Crisis in the Kremlin. Actually, you want to know my favorite LARP game as a socialist isn't actually one of the historical ones. It's actually Stellaris.
no,
As
you're a fucking idiot. You're wrong. You have to play Stellaris and then be like a theocratic distributist.
but it's like the Union of Interstellar
What is the
Soviet
game? I don't
Socialist
know
Republics.
about this game.
I mean, one of my favorite LARPing games is Liberal Crime Squad, where you LARP as a left-wing death squad.
It's a liberal death squad,
Jesus Christ.
but
Actually,
not the
Left-wing
Jacobin
death squads.
kind of liberal.
I was playing the Iron Curtain mod for Hearts of Iron 4, and I was like, wow, they've really gone into detail with like the tech tree for the Soviet Union from like 1949 onwards. I'm like, oh, I wonder what it's like for I don't know, at random South
Stalin.
Korea. South Korea. I wonder like how far to the right can you go? So I clicked on South Korea to look at the national focus they were researching, and it said right-wing death squads. I'm like, well, oh boy, it's time to invade South Korea.
Hey, what up?
Well,
I mean,
as I said, my Millennium Dawn game sort of I resurrected the Soviet Union, and I sort of went, okay, how are we going? The EU formed a giant superstate under Angela Merkel. Well, that's
Merkel,
fucking
there you
standard.
go.
And then I'm sort of like, what's going on? And then eventually I'm like, I fight this Sino-Soviet war and I, crush the Chinese. And then I sort of go around, I'm like, well, what's going on? And suddenly I get a declaration of war from the Indian Confederation. And it's like all right-wing, like India and all that have gone right-wing. I'm like, Australia is in this. And they've changed the Eureka flag. What? And then I scroll down, have a look. Leading party, One Nation, Pauline Hanson. Right, nuking Australia. That's it. We have forfeited our right to exist.
I was reading. Oh, it's funny you should say that. I was reading an article by Australia First, and they said,
Oh, fucking God.
and they said, why have union members started using the Eureka flag? Why have they taken it? I'm like, it's a union flag, you fucking idiot.
Jesus fucking Christ! Do they not know the history of it?
The thing
No
is,
history needed.
in the article, they also say, we feel like anyone should be able to use the flag. I'm like, then why are you fucking complaining? Oh, stop.
Any right wingers who use the Eureka flag need to be like shot on sight.
Guys, I think I've stumbled upon a conspiracy. I think the Labour Party is connected with unions. We're through the looking glass here, people.
Biggest story.
Holy shit!
I kid you not. Some far right guy, Neil Erickson, had a video on his Facebook page for about like 20 minutes where he's like, I'm going to look into this. I think the Labour Party might be in the pockets of the unions. Fucking watch out. I'm going to put live updates on this. And the comments section of it was like, from his most ardent supporters saying, you fucking idiot, what the fuck? It's the Labour Party. Of course they're connected with unions. And that video hasn't been seen since on his Facebook page.
I think they're connected to the unions. They're one and the same. Oh,
Lison.
oh my god. You're the
No one's
communist.
gonna get the Attila joke. Why are we doing it here?
People will get. Some people will.
It's because Attila is amazing and he deserves our undying support and respect.
And fame.
Oh, yeah,
Attila
that-
should be kept in a zoo for right-wingers that are funny.
Oh shit.
Did I kill the atmosphere?
Uh,
So I'm just googling it now because I thought there was like an upload, like a re-upload of that guy's video, but all I can find is like articles about how that UPF Fortitude Party failed so hard.
I have a little theory about all leftists. I believe that in all leftists there is an inner Stalin that sleep.
Yeah, I think I'm a prime example of that because I try to I'm for left unity and whatnot. We got to work together and whatnot. But I'm like, all right,
Where's this going?
let's just have some critique. Let's let's look at this theory. Let's look at that theory. The anarchists have got this idea right, but the Trotskyists have that idea right. And then I'll encounter something One Nation is doing, like One Nation exists, and I'm like, it is time, my friend, to open up the gulags, reform the Red Army, resurrect the Man of Steel.
The thing is,
Uncle
I also try and be a bit like objective about things. I think like we shouldn't alienate people who are politically different from us, but like a lot of like social democrats, even like liberals by today's standards and whatnot, Australian standards especially, not Australian liberals as in like the Liberal Party, but like the sort of European style liberal who very scarcely live in this country. But I think we shouldn't alienate these people. We should make our views as like we need to really get down to earth and say like you might even be for this thing. You don't know it. It's through years of like political manipulation that you've sort of gathered these ideas that are incredibly wrong and so many misunderstandings. And then you get like One Nation and all these other parties like Family First and shit, and they start talking, and I just feel like don't do it, Goulash, please. Just don't. And my eyes just sort of like I grit my teeth, everything goes red, and I want the pain to stop.
That pain is your inner Stalin, like clawing its way out.
The daily struggle for Goulash guy.
The only way to calm your inner Stalin is to achieve the world revolution.
I like my
Some
revolution
sort
to be worldwide from the start.
Some sort of permanent revolution, you say?
When you
That looks like that sounds like some new theory. You better expand on that in your next book.
when you misunderstand what permanent revolution means and you torpedo a guerrilla movement just so it can start over again.
Whoops.
I mean, permanent revolution, if you don't know the definition, sound retarded at first. Once you're done, why would you revolt? The revolution is over.
It's one of
Come on,
those
guys.
like it's one of those waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay. It kind of sounds interesting if you don't know what either of those words mean.
Yeah, it sounds like surfing on some
You sort of see the
like
80s
some
aesthetic, the
water
VHS.
activity.
Like, yeah, catch some waves, bro.
Dude,
yeah,
we're gonna go
permanent
down to
revolution.
Waterboarding,
Vegas and
yeah.
waterboarding, man.
Permanent
It's
revolution.
gonna be awesome. These
Permanent-
guys in black vans are gonna give us a lift. Woo! Let's go.
Permanent revolution on face value sounds like so the revolution just keeps going. It's like no.
That's not.
Obviously, there is a post-revolutionary society. That's not what it's about, though.
Well, as the filthy ice pick catcher here, I
It's
suppose
okay.
the
I
key-
blocked your ice pick attack with my head.
Mm.
Haha.
Surprise!
Sorry.
I love
what-
those fucking like right-wing cartoons of like the assassination of Leon Trotsky. As it's like like got an NKVD assassin wearing a sombrero. Like, well, okay.
Oh yes, the one with like Stalin's
Yeah, I've
assassin
seen it.
in Mexico, and it's the dude wearing like the sombrero, the poncho.
I'm just like, whoa. No. In what's really got me thinking about it is the reason I sort of lean towards Trotskyism was because I got into it initially because I thought, like most other people do, including the fucking resistance and God knows who else. I got into it by thinking it was a sort of a more liberal sort of angle of Bolshevism. And then you actually read Trotsky, and then you see the words Trotsky and liberal together, and you just sort of go, wait,
I mean, in some writing,
No.
Trotsky was even more authoritarian than Stalin.
Yeah, he was. But I think that a couple of core concepts about Trotsky's theory. I mean, the core concepts about his theory that I agree with, and what led me into becoming a sort of neo-Trot, and eventually into fucking full positivism, was that one, the revolution cannot succeed without internationalist cooperation. Like, we need at least 60 to 70% of the world to be socialist in order to complete the revolution, in order to get it done. And that the first world should be the primary resource of the vanguard, not the third world, which is, of course, the opposite of what the Maoists and so forth say. Now, Stalinists and pretty much everyone else says, oh, well, Lenin predicted that China in the East would be communist first, so he was right and Trotsky was wrong. All that sort of nonsense. But really, I think that the biggest argument that Trotsky's writings does put forth is it's up to the most powerful of nations. They need to be toppled first. We need to get to the workers of the developed world need to at least keep the main bulk of modern militaries distracted or undermine their imperial control to succeed.
well,
Otherwise, we're not going to.
From a
There is-
strategic point of view, if even if one of the four big nations became democratic socialist or favorable to left-wing third world countries, that would be enough just to block imperialism. It doesn't have to be communist or socialist, it just needs to block imperialism so that the communists can grow elsewhere and then the revolution can spread from them.
Well,
Well-
Trotsky's main sort of angle was, and I think that this is something that we need to take on board, is that unlike socialism in one country, Trotsky's sort of angle was that once we have a developed industrial base, lots of people call this, communist imperialism. Like, Trotsky's actually an imperialist fascist in disguise. But really, we need to support directly communist revolutions as much as we can everywhere. We need to provide material support to anyone, everywhere.
There is one place that is immune from CIA-backed coups and U.S. invasion, and that is, of course, the U.S. That's the first place to start, lads. That's where we got to start it.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, when you use those specific words,
Well, the United States, quite ironically, I think, is the only chance we have. Really.
Maybe that's a bit of nationalism, but I can see France being the start of the world revolution.
Oh yes, well it was before.
France was the first in liberalism.
I mean-
France was first in
I mean-
fucking first attempt at socialism. Why not now?
Paris
I can
Commune.
get behind the French Revolution.
I mean, I can see it. It only would work if one of the big four, big five, if you include China, one communist. The big four are France, United Kingdom, Russia, and the United States. You just
Eugene,
need
you
one of
you're
these
like
four
this.
to flip.
Gladys, does France have nukes?
Yes.
Yes, we are number 3 in terms of nukes.
Then France would be
Yeah,
fine
sweet.
from US invasion because they have a nuke.
We have
By the
300.
way,
If it wasn't for the like 500 US bases in France, yeah.
Ah, shit, yeah, I forgot about them.
I
God damn
don't
it.
think we have-
first step of transitional stage to socialism, the nuclear program.
Exactly.
I don't think we have that
Let's
much-
start with nuclear weapons.
Isn't England the country with a military base? I have to check for France, but I don't think we have that much.
Well, you do have US bases in France. The biggest country with US bases is actually Germany, easily. They have more than any other European
And
country.
that's why we will do a blitzkrieg on Germany first.
Well, this is what I'm. Are we gonna make we're gonna make a Germany 1945 again? Because I'd be down with that.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong.
Like
No,
seriously.
Just
We will go
extend
down on
East
the-
Germany westwards.
I think
Exactly.
you mean
Plan.
East. I think you mean Eastern Francia.
Yeah. East Francia. Yeah, that's exactly what I meant.
So what you're saying
Fucking
is
land
the
claims
Holy
again.
Roman Empire is neither holy nor Roman nor an empire.
I'm sort of getting the compulsive urge to start reinstalling Napoleon Total War listening to this conversation.
I mean,
I think there just something needs to happen here.
yeah, the Napoleonic People's Republic of Europe.
I like the sound of that.
Well, you see, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Does the French Napoleonic period count as imperialism?
I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
it destroyed feudalism, so
That's the
something.
thing. Does,
Anti-feudalism. Yeah.
is Napoleon sort of like a proto-Stalin?
Oh my god, is Napoleon our guy?
Napoleon is our guy.
No.
There is a more proto-Trotsky with his permanent Jacobin revolution.
Permanent Jacobin revolution.
Yeah. Permanent liberalism.
We've
But
made
like-
new
I mean-
discoveries in leftist theory now.
No,
Became
sort of-
the vanguard emperor and spread liberalism throughout Europe.
I've just got this image of this midget after the Battle of Arcole, sort of marching up to the gates of the Vatican and doing the Jeremy Corbyn. Nationalized!
So what you're
Why-
saying is we need imperialism in one country.
No, that's Russia. That's Russia. Literally Russia.
Oh god.
Because
is
it
actually
literally
Russia.
like exploits and has colonies inside of its borders. It's like when you have a colony, right? But you say, no, that's my country. The borders are like there, so it doesn't count.
There was a massive split on a Spectre is Haunting Facebook the other day about the Falkland Islands.
Oh my
Ooh.
god, another split? Jesus
And I sort of
Christ.
thought,
Who
like,
would
there
have
was a-
thought that would happen?
No, but
I have
there
a
was
sort
just
of-
this massive shit fight.
I have a solution. The Falcon Island belongs to the penguins.
Yeah, I support this neutral stance.
Yes, exactly. The Dolphin Penguin Consortium. I will
mean,
lead them to
Dolphin-
victory.
The Dolphin Penguin People's Republic, you mean?
Exactly. We're not talking an oligarchy. No, that would never happen. Ever. We swear, we promise. I'd say consortium purely because it's sort of like, I don't think like the People's Republic of Penguinistan or whatever you would call it would actually work.
Penguinistan.
What? Are you implying that penguins are not peoples?
So seriously, nominate Pingu as their god emperor. That's what we do.
Oh my god.
You just see
Hell
this.
yeah.
No.
Yes.
No.
Newt.
It's like the Argentinians are on the coast and they're like, well, we lost the Falklands, but at least we still have the mainland. And then off in the distance, you just hear like, noot, noot. Oh god.
It's happening again.
No,
Yeah, you just see penguins like swimming towards
Well,
the land,
do the
and they've got little
penguins have-
berets with red stars on them, and they're like hot potatoing Molotovs so they don't go out as they dive into the ocean.
You want to know a fun thing that when I was a kid, I would draw a Stalinist penguin in my notebook.
Oh yes.
Hell
I
yeah.
used
Exactly
to
what you
draw
were
like a walrus with like a beret.
No, but seriously though, could you think about it? The People's Republic of Penguinistan, it would actually be a great thing.
Penguinistan. Fuck
No,
me.
Goulash,
Why is it part of like Central Asia then?
because it just has a nice ring to it. They have such revolutionary zeal. They are going to paddle that fucking island all the way there. They don't care. No, but in all seriousness, it's just like I can just see it. Goulash, those penguins are your guys. Because think about it, they land on the shores of the Falklands and like, Anglos, get out! Ree!
Okay, but do they have councils?
Yeah, but do they have guilds? That's the real question.
Actually, no. Think about it. If we head on down old Victor Goulash, we could start the revolution from Granite Island. Get the fairy penguins on board.
No. Granite
Yes.
Granite Oh no, come on.
No, seriously, we make it our fortress.
No, French island in the next to Phillip Bay.
Oh, maybe. Maybe that'd work. I thought the Granite Island Penguin Fortress of Socialism would be a good idea.
So that's the plan for global revolution with genetically engineer penguin to be the vanguard.
Exactly.
Penguin super soldiers.
Penguin Vanguard.
But that's was wrong. It wasn't the dolphin. It was the penguin we should talk to.
No, you see, the penguins can march on land. That's the thing. The dolphins are their forms of they're the navy. That's what I'm saying. The penguins are marines.
Yeah,
The dolphins are the
maybe.
navy. The penguins are marines.
And who's the Air Force?
The Air Force. Oh
no,
my
you can't
god.
start it on Granite Island, right? Because all the emus will launch an amphibious attack.
Well, the aliens can provide air support. Like that's what we do.
Yeah, we
And-
to be fair though,
and
we
you-
will have to
The
wait
land
a
shall be
while.
destroyed.
What?
If we
No.
set off all the nukes, the dolphins and penguins mutate into a fighting force, and the aliens provide close air support from their flying saucers.
You know how, like, we constantly say that we need to change the language so that we can talk to the common worker in a language they understand? I'm just imagining going up to them now and saying, "Hey, do you feel unsatisfied in your job? Well, there's something you can do. Come with me to Granite Island, where we will begin again as Penguinistan, and we'll set off all the nukes so that you don't have to work for free past 5 o'clock."
It's just
You
always like,
realize
who the
I am
fuck
now
is
going to
this?
get in my new Chrysler and drive all the way over to Granite Island and just put up a sign. Coming soon, socialist paradise.
Campaign socialism takes on a new meaning when you drive a fucking
I love it.
Chrysler. You drive across to somewhere and set up a sign. It's like, yeah, socialist utopia. You just stand
Because
on
it's-
top of your Chrysler and like you drive into like the middle of a big factory complex, stand on top of your Chrysler and have like a bunch of penguins as bodyguards. Like, join us now, comrades, in a new age.
Penguin bodyguards. Oh, all right, mate.
Fairy penguins are vicious
This
little
is
fuckers.
literally the plot to like Batman Returns.
Oh my god. I still think we need to go. Actually, I wonder if we could start a petition for anime communism to become mainstream.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well, I think
mean-
Comrade Katusha could be our mascot still. I want Comrade Katusha to be our mascot.
I don't want anime at all, thanks.
Yeah, but you're a spook.
Oh shit!
Great. We were so close. We were so close. and then someone had to mention anime.
You know,
No,
I just like to point out that the only person, even though it is a drawing of Max Stirner, the only person with an animation form of character is you in this stream, my friend.
Yeah, but it's not anime now, is it?
Well, yeah, look, no, that in itself is a spook right there. I'm sorry, it just is.
We were so
Everything
close to
is
left
anime.
community.
This is not left. I mean,
We were so close, and you had to do this.
What the hell with
Like
left
the
unity?
I love how the left
Max
splits on anime. I love like
Max,
it's not even.
Oh, it's not the big
difference
issues. It's not the big issues anymore of fucking supplying economics. It's none of this. It's not about labor vouchers. Or,
It's about cat girls.
it's about fucking Neko traps. God
I'm
damn.
sorry.
It's like the ANCOMs and the Marxist-Leninists of Australia are marching up the steps of Parliament. The revolution's like just about to succeed, and then someone's like, "Oh man, I can't wait to get home to my trapped girlfriend," and then they're like, "Man, traps are gay," and they're like, "What?" And then the whole revolution just falls apart.
No, I'm
Everyone
sorry,
starts
but
attacking everybody else.
I need
That sounds
Batco here to
good.
back
Going
me
house
up.
to house saying, "Are traps gay?" It's like, yeah, they are. Bang with a shotgun, and then move on to the next house. It's like, damn it, we're so close.
Seriously, I'm sorry, but I stand in solidarity with Rodinia and Catalunya. I'm sorry, the cat girls need to take back the boards. It just has to happen. Cat girl
Yes.
revolution starts
At
now.
lefty pole.
Cat girl.
Alunya is a hero. I mean, Katyusha brings the tanks, and then Alunya just rocks up and just smashes things. Bricks through windows. We need bricks through windows.
I say we
Yeah,
do.
see, sometimes I think maybe am I missing out on anything by not watching anime? And then hearing all of this, I'm like, yeah, I reckon I'm fine, to be honest.
No, Gulash, you are, because in all seriousness, not to turn this into a weeb discussion, there are a couple of really fucking good shows. Actually, there's one I would like to talk about in a leftist sort of context. There is a show called Shinsekai Yori. I don't know if any of you guys have heard about it.
That makes
I've
I
heard of
don't
it.
know what that means.
Shinsekai Yori translates roughly to From a New World, and it's sort of like post-apocalyptic sort of show, which that always starts off great. But the way it discusses things, it shows a lens on humanity. What would happen if humanity developed psychokinetic powers, as in psychic powers essentially, but more to the point where they can manipulate things by force. And it sort of takes the logical step. Well, if someone was to have these powers and then to lose their fucking mind, they technically have the power to crush people's skulls. You know what I mean? So they go on mass murderous rampages. And so it turns into a sort of master race dichotomy where only psychic people survive, and the normal human beings are wiped out completely. They're completely destroyed. And so everybody in this world is now psychic. So to control it from killing each other, they sort of genetically program and socially condition them. But they realize that they can't sustain society because the old master servant dynamic that they had during the psychic normal human being period, which led to a nuclear war, but we won't go into that. Sort of creates, they lose that dichotomy. So to keep things stable, they need an us versus them scenario. So they create a species. They create a species to be subservient to them, to do all the legwork, to do all the grunt work, called monster rats. And the story shows a war between the humans and the monster rats. And the thing about it is, monster rats, as a leftist, I'm like, you know what? Fuck the humans. They're absolute cunts. I don't care.
Yeah.
Support the monster rats.
Exactly. And watch the anime, because there are a couple of scenes in it that are really sort of like leftist. They sort of get this period. They find that they sort of meet the monster rats initially, and then they come back 10 years later, as young adults. And they meet this guy, this monster rat who saved them from this contrived circumstance, not to ruin the show. And they're like, oh, well, where's your queen? We want to pay our respects. Oh, I'm sorry, but the queen is somewhere else. And they find her locked in a dungeon, reduced to nothing but producing children, and that's it.
Oh,
And they
thanks
sort
for
of-
spoiling it, mate.
And they
I mean,
yeah, That's not spoiling it. That's just part of the show. And they sort of go, why? And it says, well, simple. As long as there's a monarchy, we can't have a truly egalitarian society. So we started electing our own representatives.
Yes.
And you just sort of, and the humans are horrified, like, oh my god! And I'm just sort of like, whoever wrote this is a comrade. They have to be.
Maybe not.
Yes, nationalize the Queen. Nationalize the Queen.
Just walk up to the Queen of
People now.
England. Just Jeremy Corbyn walks up to the Queen and is like, nationalize it. Excuse me.
No, but anyway, watch it's free on Crunchyroll. Watch it because like it gets really fucking meta, and I think leftists should all watch it. That and an anime called Psycho Pass, but I keep talking about that every time we talk about anime, so I'll shut up about Psycho Pass because I shill for it every chance I get.
So we're at about an hour and 15 minutes. Probably time to wrap up. Does anyone have any last thoughts before we head on over to the Discord?
Just that went really fucking quick. Am I the only one who was thinking that?
Yeah, well, quick.
Yeah,
We could keep going if people want to. Because I haven't talked, you can ask me questions and shit.
What do
Well,
you-
Eugene,
No, if you
here's
want
the thing.
topics.
You got the opportunity to talk. We had an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah, but there are so many people, so much like that I didn't have time to just like intersect, you know?
Sometimes you gotta soak it in. It's like a super soaker. Soak it in. Okay, honestly, where else was I going to go with that? I could have gone two ways. I could have gone the super soaker, or I could have said it's like a sponge. And for me, that just doesn't have the same effect as
Super
it's like a
No. I'm not against. It's just I mentioned that to say that if you have nothing else to talk about, you can ask me shit because I haven't been talking that much.
Oh,
That's all right.
Yeah,
That's all right.
what did you have for
Archer-
breakfast,
Archer
Eugene?
today.
A little bit.
Yes.
There we go.
Problem
A
solved.
little bit, but not
That's
yet.
all I've got. That's all I've got.
Things
I
are
just wanted to know. Well, I've had my question answered. Trap's a little gay. So
And that's okay.
Oh, I'm working on some like aesthetic. So Eugene, if you want to give me an idea, I'll concoct something for you and then send it to you later.
Yeah, the synthesis.
Give me a theme to work with.
Shit, you're right. I need to finish it.
I mean, like now, you want me to give you a creative idea?
Yeah, give me a thing to work with.
Give me a second.
A shitpost about the Queensland election where footage of Pauline Hanson grabbing a bottle of Jack and walking off into the night with the music.
Yeah,
going,
all the
"Take a
hat cult
smile,
of personality, where there is like basically a revolution, and they have it's all in vaporwave, and they are basically revolutionary force for anarcho-hatism.
Well,
And they have cult of personality of hats.
Oh, I've got it. It's a rolling headline of Senator Malcolm Roberts losing his seat to this music.
Amazing.
Well, I sort of had that at the same time. I think we have got the real sort of. I mean, we need Batco here to claim the Congress, but we've got the real Australian shitposting Congress here because I just had an idea. I just sort of had an idea of superimposing not Julia, fucking almost said Gillard. Pauline Hanson superimposing her first speech to Parliament back in the 80s, superimposing Australia as being swamped by Asians, and then cutting to that film like My Way with the North Korean army just sort of fucking going absolutely ham. War of liberation! Here come the yellow peril. We're gonna be killed, all of us.
That speech was actually in 1996.
Was it really? Jesus
She literally
Christ.
copied and pasted the same speech, and she just changed a few words around.
Now it's the Muslims. Fuck!
We are under threat of being swamped by
She even uses the
Looks
same
at
phrase,
him.
swamped.
Looks at
We're being
hand, it's all
swamped.
smudged out. You can't make out the word Asian, so she's just like, Muslims?
It's the Muslims now. Good. Okay,
But
like,
can you make a copy pasta out of it?
oh, we need to make.
Yes, you can. She literally has a copy
We
pasta.
are under threat of being swamped by penguins originating
We're
from
being,
Granite
we're being
Island.
sword rushed by Asians.
The People's Republic of Penguinistan. Yes. This is...
We're being swamped
So-
by Aboriginals at the moment.
Wait, we're being swamped.
Jesus
Didn't-
Christ.
Didn't we swamp them? Like,
Yeah,
let's
we
be honest.
swamped them.
Well,
that-
yeah.
I still think, like,
That's extremely
it is about the
unpatriotic.
language. We're not being swamped by Asians. We're being Zerg rushed by Asians. Way scarier.
Does that make us the
Hey.
Protoss or the Terrans?
China requires more minerals. That's just us. We are the SCV for China. That's what we are. We are the lowly SCV.
Can we be the Terrans? Because so we can have battle cruisers.
So that we can be
Battle
human
cruiser
after all.
operational. I really have to go. Number one.
Very
Hero of reporting.
I remember that.
In the pipe, 5x5. Sorry. No, StarCraft is actually. Speaking of that, totally non-leftist related. Have you guys heard that StarCraft Wings of Liberty is actually free to play now?
The
Yes.
multiplayer
What?
free to play.
The multiplayer is free to play. So yeah. So
I got really excited. It's like StarCraft is free to play. I'm like, yes, I can replay Wings of Liberty campaign, check out the Zerg one and then the Protoss one, and maybe check out the multiplayer. I look at the article and it's like the Wings of Liberty multiplayer is free to play, and I'm like, well, fuck that then.
that's the problem. Like, because I wanted to. I mean, I'll be honest. I follow Soviet deep battle tactics in every single strategy game I play. So the Zerg were pretty much all I played, mainly because let's be honest. If you throw enough men at the wall, eventually one's gonna get through. So
I don't think
disagree.
that's really what deep battle is.
well, no, it is in a sense. I mean, I've got two Kaczewski's treaties on it. It mainly it's sort of different. The different strategy is you break a hole in one area, and then you flood literally everything you got through it. I mean, Blitzkrieg works on the isolation of command and control. Deep battle is the total commitment of every single soldier you've got. And
All
and
of
once you
that
go
would be
break-
very useful to me if I could actually play the fucking game, because BattleNet screwed me over and logged me out, and I can't get back in, and I now have a $60 frisbee sitting on my bookshelf. I messaged them years ago, and an automated message was like, "Yep, we'll get back to you momentarily." I didn't realize that for them, momentarily meant like fucking years.
I will give credit to one game developer who I like, which is Eugen. I do like them.
What? Eugene?
Eugen.
Eugene, I didn't know
I
you
was
were a
waiting
games
for it.
designer.
Me?
Yeah.
Anyone ever played
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Steel Division, yo? The only problem
Yeah,
is
Steel Division.
my graphics driver is still giving me shits about it. So and that's the sad truth is that I haven't been able to play Steel Division for a while. But the game player base just sort of died all of a sudden, and I'm not
Really?
sure why.
Why?
Well, there's only a couple of hundred people playing it regularly now, which is sad because it's a really
Why?
good game.
From what I know, it is.
I still love Wargame Red Dragon. That's still a
Oh, I
Now, that's
can't
a
play
game
it.
we can play.
I tried to. I tried to, I can't.
Well, no, the Soviet doctrine actually works in that game if you do it right. Lots of T-72s.
I'm too small brain for this game. Too small brain, to be honest.
No, T-72s everywhere. It works.
If you
Oh,
want to
okay, I'll
feel,
try that.
If you want to feel like you have a small brain, look like Aurora 4X. It's the best 4X game in the world, and you won't understand anything happening. I know I don't.
The game I'm having problems with right now is freaking Crusader Kings 2. I'm trying to play it, and it's
Why?
Oh yes.
That's pretty easy.
It
It's
doesn't
the easiest.
it doesn't make any fucking sense. I'm just trying to track everything, and like the combat doesn't make any sense. Like I'm
What do
just
you
like
mean?
fucking weird. At least Hearts of Iron, I kind of knew what was going on.
It's so easy with Crusader Kings 2. Just have more people, and then you've won.
Just have
Yeah, that's
Isn't
it.
that every war ever?
Well, theoretic.
Wait, no.
Literally,
no,
yes.
Never mind.
Actually, in Crusader King, you can win with superior troops and superior tactics.
Right. Okay.
But
Okay,
you need
I've
to...
played it for hours. Haven't figured out that part yet.
I mean, it's pretty hard to figure out how to get the good tactics and which unit is the best.
I've
Yeah,
just sort of
like
been-
put
I've
the
just
best
been-
people. Like it's really simple. Get as much people as possible and put the best people in charge.
As if you need some kind of a vanguard.
Yeah. Well, there's that.
No,
I
3
tried-
commanders. That's what you need.
Well, I tried playing as the Duke of Normandy, and I launched a Battle of Hastings. And Harold the
So?
lazy fuck didn't go fight the Vikings, and so now the Vikings are coming for me. And I'm thinking, hold on a minute, this like the game's time frame, like Harold invades France. You know what I mean? Like, what?
Mhm.
What? Like my navy doesn't try
In
and
a game that
stop
I
him.
was playing, basically when there's that sort of three-way war for England, basically,
You let each other kill each other and then you
oh
pick
no,
up
the
rest.
Norwegians won in literally like 3 months. I don't know how it happened, but it happened.
They
They must
just
have like
gave up on
they must have
Norway.
captured and killed the leader of the Brits or whatever, or fucking
This
whatnot.
is the Anglo.
They must
They
have just
literally
given
just
up on
won
Norway.
within 3 months, and now England is Norway.
They just give up on Norway, gather up everybody, like, right, we're gonna fuck off to England. So they have like 3 times as many troops as they normally do. They massacre England and take it all over, and then they realize, oh, literally everybody else in the world didn't give a shit about Norway. So now we have both Norway and England. Haha, kick ass.
Well, no, it's seriously though. I don't understand how to be successful at that game. Like, there's no sort of borders or anything like that. It feels like a bit of a clusterfuck, if I'm honest.
It's a clusterfuck, but you can understand it and becomes the god emperor of the world. It's pretty easy.
It's all about managing that family, my dude. It's literally like it's literally just The Sims, but
With battles.
it's The Sims, but instead of taking care of a household, it's medieval Europe.
Well, fuck it. I'm waiting for Medieval Total War 3. Can't be bothered.
Again, Crusader Kings, it's all about that cash. You need more money to win.
I like how 10 minutes ago we were so ready to wrap things up, and then it was just like, oh, let me talk about this anime, and then now it's like CK2, and now we're just shitposting.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. Okay, maybe we better move this to the Discord, boys.
Yeah, I've got a bunch of tinnies I gotta take outside.
You disgust me so much.
I'm sorry.
All right, lads, let's fire up the BT7s. Who's joining me?
Oh.
All right.
Yeah.
So if we're all good to wrap it up, I want to thank everybody for joining us. So thanks to Goulash Guy, Eugene, Positus Pac-Man, Spoosk, Latox, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date, and check out easternmarshlands.com for more than just leftist videos. There's articles and whatnot. And we hope to see you all next week for another evening with Comrades. Thank you all. Catch you all. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, boys.
Bye. Cunts.